Hey, hi. So, you know how I was supposed to have this up yesterday? Oops. All right. So, normally it's be like, oh, I late because I was doing other stuff, but like this is actually like good stuff. Okay, this is I was this there was a lot. Okay, okay. So, yesterday I spent my day kind of busy because I did some running and things. I had to get last little bit of stuff done before this job working with Amazon. Ideally being a driver, right? So that was like a lot of my day. And then after that, I went to pick up my little sister. So I was out from like 2 to like, I think I got home like 5:30, 4:45. I left like, I don't know what's going on. I was out of the house for a couple hours, right? It shouldn't have taken that long, but it did. But like, listen, right? Okay, so, I'm just, how do I word it? In the weirdest way, I'm happy, right? Like legitimately happy. God, let me slow down so I can make sense and be human. I, I came to a couple of like realizations yesterday that took me some time to process and really understand. So with that in mind, I was like, I can't like try to do this video talking about stuff and talking about how I'm feeling when I don't even really get it. So quick thing for people that don't know, and me whenever I forget about this and read this again in however many years, right? Like what? Like, I don't, what, a month ago or so? I want to say it was about a month. Yeah, because it was right after Lightning's birthday. Alice, like, left, right? She doesn't really interact with people anymore, right? And that's okay, right? I felt a bit of way about it because I've always been, like, very sensitive about how people, about like my friends and such, right? And I finally got to a place where I was not happy isn't the right word, right? But I was content with everything that happened, right? And like I know it's not my place to decide, oh, what you can do, right? And I never try to do that earnestly. I never like try to dictate how people should like live their lives and interact with other people, right? Unless it's actively harming someone, and that's just it, right? And it took me a while to get here with this because I had a lot of feelings about it. I always felt like, from a conversation we had a while ago, it basically came down to almost, I don't want to say comparison because that doesn't sound quite right, but it kind of is a bit of comparison between the two of us, right? And how we interact with people and how people interact with us. And I felt like it was something that I couldn't really fix. There's no way for me to fix that, right? There's nothing that I can do that can make someone go, hey, I understand we tried the same things and it worked differently than it worked for you, right? Outside of them being able to come to that themselves. And if they don't, then they don't, right? So whenever stuff came about, like in conversation where things were being compared, there isn't really a solution for me. There never was, right? And there isn't gonna be. And while I don't think it was the reason that she decided to split apart and go do her own thing, right? I always had feelings that it came down to a matter of feeling like in a way we were competing over things, and I never thought that would be the case. Never thought that was how things were seen, right? But again, it just that was how it made sense in my head whenever we would have conversations about stuff, and it would come down to matters of discussion, right, or matters of comparison. And eventually, right, she decided that like a combination of the way that I interact with her and the way that people view the circle I'm in and the circle she's in, right, that it just wasn't, it didn't work. We didn't fit, right? I'm trying to figure out how to make this make sense. I'm sorry to everyone, especially to me, of whenever I listen to this again, because maybe by then I'll make more sense, in which case this will be awful and confusing, and I'm sorry. But basically it just kind of became a thing of we don't see eye to eye, and the way things were playing out and the way that our relationship was going, right, it just kind of, it was difficult isn't the right word, but she wasn't enjoying being around anymore, right? And of course, I was always going to have feelings about that, because regardless of how things may actually play out, right, it's always going to come back to, oh my god, I made her feel like shit, right? Whether I had anything actively to do with it or not, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it was, like, it doesn't matter if fucking someone makes a random comment saying that, like, oh, Elijah, you know, I wish I was as short as you, right? If that makes another person feel bad because they're taller than me, I'm going to feel like that's my fault, and it's not. So when everything came through, and she decided she was gonna depart, right? For a while, I've had like feelings about, I've had feelings of like guilt and stuff, especially like long before she left. We had conversations that effectively boiled down to, we don't have the same interests and we don't really get along the same way anymore, because our view of things is very different and how we tackle subjects are very different, and it just kind of made it difficult for us to really interact anymore, right? So once she left and once she decided that she was going to do her own thing, right, I had been very afraid that trying to talk to her again would just kind of turn into a whole big thing of, Elijah, fuck you, I feel bad and it's your fault, which I can't handle that. Like, I can't handle that, right? Or maybe I guess it'd be better to say I couldn't. But whenever I had my realization, talking with things and just kind of thinking stuff out, I finally came to the point where, like, I wanted to reach out and I didn't. And that normal feeling of guilt about not reaching out because I'm scared that she's gonna hate me didn't pop up anymore, right? I've like been very. It's always been on my mind, right? Or not always, but it's been on my mind for a while, right? About how I felt like I was losing my friend, and I didn't really know if there was a thing I could do to fix that. And I guess I accepted one of my strongest beliefs whenever it applied to me, which is that everyone has a place in someone's life, no matter how big or little, right, to make them better. And I think that I was finally able to accept that if she decides that we don't really talk anymore, that's okay, right? Like, it sucks because I appreciate my friend and I do miss hanging out with her and talking to her, right? But if the experiences that we had and the time we spent hanging out and the interests we shared helped her decide and find out for herself where she has to draw the line in the sand in regards to how people treat her, how people value her, how people express their interests, how people show their interest in the things she cares about, then I did my part, right? I don't want that to be all my part is, but that may be the case. And I guess being able to finally accept that, like, it's okay, right? It was big for me, and it took a while for me to be able to acknowledge that, right? And again, this may very well be a situation where I'm just looking too deep into it, right? And she doesn't hate me, right? She didn't feel like she had to get away because we didn't click anymore and we weren't good friends anymore, right? But being able to acknowledge that maybe my part in her life and maybe my role in her life is over, right? I hope that in spite of my feelings that she's better off, because at the end of the day, how I feel doesn't really matter if she got what she needed out of knowing me, right? Like, I can be as hurt as I want to be about us not talking anymore, but I've become a better person by knowing her, and I'm hoping that she can say the same from knowing me, even if it's in very different ways. Right? Like, I believe totally that if the reason we don't talk anymore really is just because we don't click anymore, and the problems that I have as a person are things she can't deal with and she doesn't want to deal with. I shouldn't say can't, but doesn't want to deal with. have helped her develop and find the things that she won't put up with anymore, then it sucks that I failed in that regard, right? And was not the kind of person that she needed in her life, or rather that she needed to keep ties with, right? But I've served my purpose for her, right? And I think being able to accept that was important. And I guess it was a really big thing for me. Like it's been on my mind for a while. Like I've said 4 times now. I'm so sorry. So being able to finally accept that, alongside just kind of being okay with my friend not really being around anymore, right? It matters. And I didn't want to try to like put up my thing trying to share how I feel about this without really understanding it. And yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at today, or where I've been at past couple days. So that's why the video didn't go up yesterday as planned. Jesus, we really ran it over today. God. Well, there you go. That's my video for this week, talking about my headspace and stuff. What, this is the 17th? Yeah, February 17th, 2024. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping she's doing well. I believe she's doing well. Right? I believe she's doing better without having to deal with a person like me. Right? And regardless of my feelings on it, like, as long as she's doing well, I'm happy. Right? Like, I can be hurt, but I'm happy. And as far as that's concerned, like that's that on that. So yeah. That's my video for this. Yeah.